pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody. The meeting's order. We'll take a look at the agenda here. I believe there's one correction. Steve, is there any others?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, please add under Auditor's Warrants number 1 that the date August 6th of 20 should be changed to August 10th. There was no auditor warrants for the 6th. Sandy did those on the 10th, so scratch that and put the 10th on there. I have a couple of add-ons on number 2 Commissioner's warrants. Had an add-on this morning for revenue, $7,488.85, and road and bridge, $1,427.40. As soon as we're done with this, at 9:02, Keith Freeman is going to do an introduction, as he's already seated in the hot seat with a new employee.
Okay.
At 9:05, when Nick is here, Jeff Jones will be attending the meeting via Zoom for the Indian Lakes Trail discussion. And that is all I have for changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Dan, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. And Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as adjusted by
We
Steve.
have a motion by Dan.
Second.
Second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then we'll call this 9:02, and Sheriff Freeman is here for a brief introduction.
Mr. Chairman, just a second. Mr. Chairman, we need to do the consent agenda,
Okay.
please.
I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay, Luke made the motion.
Second.
Russ seconded it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Yes, Jeff.
Okay, Keith.
Hey, just want to introduce, you guys all know him, but Tyler Rippentrop, he's our new field
Yeah, we're all here in
administrator.
person, too.
He
You can come down if you want to do that.
Okay.
was in jail for 8 years, probably.
Yeah, I was in the jail for a little bit over 8 years. And then I was hired on the road. I was on the road for a little over a year. So I have a little over 9 years experience with the sheriff's office so far.
It's going to be a good fit, knowing both sides. And we like the fact that he's licensed. We're going to keep his license up for an extra deputy. The first 2 days he worked as jail administrator, we called him out for help on calls we needed, which is really going to be nice. He can do armed security in the court if we need it. He can make arrest. He can come out like we had Monday and Tuesday last week. We needed extra help, and he can jump in the car, and that'll be an extra licensed position. Plus, we have a big shoes to fill. Ed's been around for 30-some years.
Yeah.
Huh?
And he's learning fast though, and Ed's still working for another month or so, but he's
Okay.
kind of not around much, but if we need him.
A little time for transition and
Yep,
getting to figure out what's going on, so.
So I think we're lucky to have Tyler jump into the
It's
spot.
nice Ed can stick around for a little bit, too.
Yep, he'll be around for another month or so if we need him, so. I want to introduce you, I know you guys know him, but just.
Thank you.
Any other questions about that, or?
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Welcome. Glad you got it.
Stepping up.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, this brings us to Carol. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Walters are on their way, so they should be here to see.
Yeah, I texted them and they were on their way.
Okay.
So if that's okay,
They
if
were
we,
worried about a mask, and then I texted them and said, hey, there's masks here.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got masks too, so.
so,
Well, you
so do you want to, would you like us to, would you like to?
If you want to wait a little bit, we can,
They should be here shortly.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and have a seat. We'll start with Nick and we'll.
if you want to, and then we can,
Okay.
we can,
It's on until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, maybe we can jump in.
well, we can interrupt Nick a little bit if we have to. can't we?
Yep, no problem for me. So, all right, good morning.
Oh, here they are.
They're
Oh.
here now.
Nick, you're out.
That was quick.
You're good, yeah. You're good.
We really need to sit? Can we stand?
No, you don't have to, you can do whatever you want to do. Pretty much.
Oh, I think. Take my glasses with it.
So, that our opportunity, or?
Again, good morning, and we would like to be here today to present Terry and Sylvia Walters with their Farm Family of the Year Award, and we wanted to find some way that we could recognize them, being it's kind of an abnormal year, and they would have had other opportunities, but we thought this would be a great way because they have contributed so much to our whole county, and we're very appreciative to them, so.
Yeah, because normally they'd be recognized at the county fair, they would be at the Farm Fest, and, you know, these two have been recognized many places, but they haven't been recognized locally, in my opinion, because they've been recognized nationally and by our state, and for all those things that they do, because agriculture is important to them, it's important to our county, and they have brought so much to our county as far as education and development of the Pipestone County pork producers. You can hardly find a place that is promoting agriculture and reminding people who we are as a county, is that agriculture is important to our economy, without having Terry and Sylvia there. They are there. They show up. They don't just give it lip service. They give it their all. They give it everything. And I believe, the Extension Committee is really appreciative of them, and I believe our county should be appreciative of them too, what they've brought to us. So, anyway, Terry, Sylvia, we'd like to give you your plaque for
Yeah, and if you-
Farm Family of the Year.
If you want to say a few words, you're welcome to.
Okay. Well, thank you, you guys. We appreciate it, being recognized. It's humbling to be in the group of people, that other recipients, like families like yourself, right? And so we think there's there's tons of great farmers in Pipestone County and in the state, but thank you for recognizing us. And we are passionate about agriculture. We're passionate about communicating where our food comes from, and we spend a lot of time doing that. So it's been doing it for a long time. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We would like to get a quick picture if we could, just
Okay.
real quick. And you can take your mask off. If Laurel and
Take that thing off.
And Chris, you're on the Extension Committee too, if you want to get in. And anybody else, but
By this guy.
Yeah, I think this is an appropriate spot in my night. I'm just.
yeah, that's usually the picture spot, so if you want to.
Les, if you're gonna be in the picture, you might want to put a mask on.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. And thank
Okay,
you for having us.
thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate your work, so.
Hey, come out to the car cruising event and have a pork loin sandwich for the chamber fundraiser this weekend.
Sounds good.
Like I said,
Very earlier. And then that night, you can go, Saturday night, you can go to Jasper Ambulance Feed. Double dip on the pork loin
There we go.
sandwiches.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, Nick, maybe you could come forward and enlighten us on your activities. Jeff Jones is here too. Is this going to be something you want to coordinate with Nick, or you want to do that right away since Jeff's here, or
Correct. If Jeff's here, we could just as well do that.
you want to come forward, or you want to sit wherever you're comfortable?
Whichever is best.
Well,
Doesn't matter to me.
we're kind of just working with whatever.
Looks better on video.
So back in, I think it was 2017, the county and city signed an agreement for this TAP grant. Part of that agreement, I believe it was in your packet, was that the city would deposit like an advance of 10% of the total bid amount of this project. I'll probably let Jeff elaborate on this, but they're requesting to not have to deposit that 10% advance due to, pandemic planning, et cetera. we can, we have the we agreed to cash flow this project, and we have that money on hand. So if you wanted to expand on that a little bit.
Sure. Thanks, Nick, and thanks for letting me come in this morning. Jeff Jones, City of Pipestone, and I had sent a letter to Nick, copied Steve on it, and again, you may have a copy in front of you, but in any event, yes, a couple of years ago, when we entered into the agreement, the city was going to pay their portion plus a 10% bid amount for contingencies, I think essentially to address cost overruns on the project. Obviously, as you gentlemen are well aware, things have changed drastically since the agreement was signed, and we are in the process of doing our 2021 budgets. I've told my department heads and my council, obviously we're going to be very conservative, not knowing what's ahead of us with the COVID impact and aftermath. And so while the city's prepared and willing to pay our portion of the bid amount, we're wondering if the county would consider letting us essentially not be required to pay that 10% at this time. Obviously, if there are cost overruns as the project begins to wrap up, we can address those as the county wishes. But it would be helpful to us as a city that we didn't have to put that additional $68,000 amount up at this time with the project not yet begun. We've already spent over $120,000 on engineering, time and money in acquiring easements, so we have expended funds already for the project in preparation of the actual start. And for that reason, that was a request that I made to Nick and to the commissioners for your consideration. Take any questions you might have for me.
Nick, is this going to be any adverse effects to you guys as far as the budget? I mean, we've got sufficient money to move forward anyway or whatever.
No, they're still paying it. It was just
Matter of timing.
It's like an advance, how I kind of took it, on what they're going to pay anyway. So
Okay.
it's not going to cost us anymore. They're still paying it. It's just they pay it before the project or
later,
as
whatever.
things go out. So
Is this something we need a motion to approve, or is this just something we can just go forward with?
We should have a motion to approve that
Okay.
we're going to change the agreement that was made in 2017.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Wes made the motion. Chris seconded. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question for Jeff. Jeff, what was the original intent of that 10%?
As I recall, and again, it's a couple of years ago, so memories get a little shady, but I know there were concerns. Part of it is just the timing, because we had to do the planning so far in advance to get the application in for this funding. A lot of it was best estimates based on time, cost, inflation factors, et cetera. And there were some concerns that obviously if that estimate wasn't accurate, not knowing what inflation might do between the time the grant application was submitted and the money actually awarded and the project actually started, we're talking 3+ years ago, 3.5 years ago. And so I think that it was somewhat of a cushion factor, for lack of a better description, to make sure that there were adequate funds to cover any cost overruns or things like that. But that's my recollection.
and
Do you see any exposure for the county by not requiring the 10%?
I guess I don't. They're still paying the same. It's just a matter of if they pay it right now before the project starts, or if they pay it, as the expenses come in later. So I guess I'm not worried about it. And as far as the history on that 10%, that was drafted before I was a county engineer, so I wouldn't have been part of those discussions on why that happened. So I unfortunately can't offer anything on the history of that.
Were these
Okay,
bids,
thank you.
were these bids in line with the estimates? And
They were under the estimate.
Yeah.
We actually had to write a letter to the state justifying why they were so low compared to the estimate. So,
Doesn't usually
Unique
happen.
situation.
that's unique, yep.
Mr. Chair, I believe Mr. Jones indicated, the city's already committed quite a bit to this project financially already. I don't see any reason why we can't waive this.
Sure, okay.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else for Jeff while he's here? Okay, unless Jeff's got something else to bring up.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I appreciate your consideration and cooperation. We're looking forward to the project. It was great. The numbers came in as low as Nick said. It was a pleasant surprise. As we all know, they don't usually come in that way. So. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nick, what else have we got?
All right.
Projects?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good list today, actually. So, first up will be project updates. First update I have is the 2020 box culverts contract number 1. A&C Excavating. I was just informed this morning that they plan on starting Monday. They were going to start yesterday, but I'm not really sure what happened. Something came up. They said they'd be a little bit later, so they're still well within their time frame. But so this would be the bridge by Holland, right south of Holland. They'll be starting that one on Monday. Next update would be the 2020 seal coats. That project might wrap up today. It started yesterday, and I guess they might be done today, which would be pretty speedy. My next update is on the second page. It's our CASA 13 widening and surfacing job. That paving is complete. I think the end of this week, they might start shouldering on it. Then they'll have to pull the black dirt up and finish seeding it and stripe it and put the signs back up, and we're good to go. So, and then the last update I have would be the Indian Lakes Trail. Concrete and paving is complete on it. They need to complete shouldering on there, and then over half the dirt work and seeding is done. They gotta touch up that north side then, and we gotta put up our signs and stripe it, and then that one will be done too. So. And then just as a reminder, I talked with you one of the last meetings I was at about, we're running into some poor soils out there, and we're having to, we had to remove that and put some rock down to help hold the base up. So that project's going to overrun. We'll cover that with wheelage tax money. So, but just so you know, it's coming. The next. I guess maybe since we were just talking about phase 3, what Jeff was just here about that. I was just given verbal confirmation yesterday that we can go ahead and award that project. The city did the bid opening on it, and they're recommending award, but the county actually has to officially award it. I think that was added to your packets late because I didn't know that it was approved until yesterday, but. There's 5 bids there. The low bid was Dunnick Incorporated for $640,475.30. Like I said, the city recommended award on it, and then the state also gave us approval to go ahead and award it. They said it met all the requirements, so I would recommend awarding as well to Dunnick.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and move that we award that bid to Dunnick.
Dan, Luke already made a motion. Would you second it?
Okay? Absolutely.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right. Next item is more just information. It's for our AutoCAD subscriptions. We used to buy this software, and then we'd just run it till they wouldn't support it anymore. That was the cheapest way of doing it. Well, now they don't offer that anymore. You have to buy a subscription, which is more expensive. So we have to buy 2. They're budgeted for. They meet the. I don't need any official board action. It's just more of an informational piece. Like, usually we buy the expensive software and run it for 5, 6 years, and now we have to buy a subscription every year, so that's why you'll be seeing those bills come through annually for that, so. Next up, I would like permission to sell some surplus equipment. This is a 1967 International tack truck with a Roscoe oil tank. We haven't used this in 10 years. They won't fill it at the plant anymore because the tank's too outdated. It doesn't have the safety equipment, whatever you want to call it, on there needed. And I honestly don't know what it's worth. If somebody, the right person, it might be a treasurer, maybe they give us a couple thousand, I don't know, but it might be nothing more than scrap iron, and with an oil tank on it, I don't know, that might be a big problem too as far as disposal. Yeah.
Would it bring more if you scrapped the tank? Just took it off?
Sold the chassis.
I don't know, then what are we gonna do with the tank? You know, it might cost a lot to get rid of a tank like that with oil in it or coated on it. I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know much about it.
It's a pretty short wheelbase truck too. It isn't gonna be usable for much without.
No, and I think it's got a little 304 V8 in it.
So I mean, it might not even be saleable with an oil tank on it.
It might not. We might not get any bids. I don't know.
How would you put it up on some sort of, is there a website you can use for stuff like this, or?
Yeah.
It might take quite a few hours to take that old tank off that chassis too, more than what the whole thing's worth.
Right. And it's gonna cost money to sell it. If we get I don't know. It might be $400 or $500 to even sell it on a site, and then we might get
Yeah.
$10 for it, you know. I just don't know how much money we want to put into selling it, considering I don't even know if we'd get that money back.
Right.
So I was hoping one of you guys had some input on, one option would be to put it.
Do we have, Mr. Chair, is there any intent to have another county surplus auction again this summer like we've had in the past?
Don't know at this point. Hospital doesn't have much, I
No,
don't
we
think, at
didn't.
this point, so.
We've unloaded most of our stuff already, and the last auction we had was the pickup truck. Then that went on that electronic
That was
auction.
online, yeah.
And was sold that way,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess
Scrapping it.
we could hang on to it until there is a surplus, or otherwise, my other thought, the cheapest way to probably sell it would be put something on the website, put something in Freestar, put something in the official paper, just saying we're taking sealed bids.
I think I would do that.
And opening them on-
move forward and see what you
That'd
get.
be a minimal expense.
I wouldn't,
Well, that's what I'm getting at, because the bid very well could be $1 on this.
you're not gonna get a lot for it, but
Now,
it's nice to get it off your lot, I would say.
yeah, we could use the shed space, and I just don't expect to get a lot out of it, but maybe somebody got a vision for the power unit on it or something. I don't know. You never know. It might turn out.
Yeah, I think you should just go ahead and do it.
Sell it that way.
Sure.
Put a minimum, do we advertise like a minimum bid of $1 or something like that, or just?
I don't think I'd even meant, just
Okay.
see what you get, because
Okay. Do you have a specific date in mind when you'd like to open bids for that? I think
wanna give it a-
September
wanna
8th.
give it a month or something to get bids in.
Get the word out.
Winter, it'd be nice to get
Sure.
rid of it if you could.
So September meeting or October meeting?
Either or.
Doesn't matter.
Let's make it September.
Okay.
8th or
if you got it-
22nd, take your pick.
You'll know by then if you have any interest or not.
Yeah.
22nd would be enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I will, I suppose with board approval, I'll advertise it for, you said September 22nd?
Sounds good.
Is that what you said? Is that the? Okay.
It does run, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think it ran when parked. We will probably maybe spend minimal time on it if we can get it running
If you
easily.
have to put a $100 battery in it, it's kinda hard to
Yeah, exactly.
get excited about something.
So we'll put minimal effort into getting it running if we have time, so. Do we need any board approval to do that? No.
No, I don't need a motion for that, just go ahead.
Okay. Okay, next item I have, we're in the third year of our rent agreement on our gravel pit land. I would like to have a bid opening for that September 8th for the next 3-year contract. That way it's prior to harvest. You know, I don't want to do it in the middle of harvest when all the farmers are busy. And then this way, if the same person would get it again, they'd know how to, you know, if they want to put fertilizer on or do some tillage or whatever. So I would recommend going with the 3-year contract again, cut down on the paperwork. Currently, it's about 171 acres that goes down every time we do a gravel crushing contract. And the current bid price is $226 per acre.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to set the letting date, September 8th at 10 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion approved.
Mr. Chairman, let's go back to the oil truck. I just thought about that a minute. We should declare that as surplus property of the county and then authorize a bid to sell it. That way it's taken care of. Show it as surplus.
Accept or reject bids at a later.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second by Les and Chris.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, then back to our Indian Lakes Trail. I was contacted by Fish and Wildlife, and I met out there with them last week. They asked if we would be willing to partner with them on like another small trail. They were originally thinking, the one guy I talked to was thinking to be on the west side of those rock riffles and just run out back towards the lake, 100, 200 feet, whatever it is. He said that they could supply a culvert to get from the trail, you know, through the ditch, and then asked if we would move some of this pile of dirt there to kind of make a little path over the culvert, and then supply what would amount to, I don't know, a truckload or so of gravel for this little trail out back. They've helped us out doing a couple favors through the project to make life easier for us, so I would really like to be able to do that for them. You know, it'd be, you know, a load or two, whatever, of gravel, and then a little bit of equipment time moving this dirt around, shaping it up. We wouldn't have the contractor do it, we'd do it ourselves. It'd be a little cheaper that way. And then he had also talked about possibly trying to get a donated bench like we did on the other leg. And I said I could talk to the board about possibly, when we got some slow time, you know, forming a little slab up concrete in our shop and just pouring it, you know, in the winter or whenever on a rain day. Fasten this bench too, and then we just go set it down out there at the end of this trail. So, so I guess if that's something the board's okay with, I would like to be able to do that with them. You know, they helped us out, so I'd like to be able to do that back.
Is that something we need board approval for, or is it something we can just authorize Nick to work with at his discretion?
I would think consensus would be fine. This isn't going to be a big ticket item, so.
You're working with them anyway, so.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
We waived the 10% down payment thing, so now we're
Yep.
up to the truck.
Yeah, so next up would be our sign truck. We were able to finally get some final numbers on that from them. You see in italics in the background, that's the one that was approved in May, just to kind of give you a update on what we had talked about back in May. We thought that it was going to be around 135,000 for that body, but final numbers came in at 131,775. So I would recommend that truck body from Maintainer with the source well pricing. I think it's still probably a year out after we order it, but I'd like to get the ball rolling.
But the price is determined when you accept the order, right? Or when you place the order, the price won't go up.
Correct. I think I believe when we place that order, that's locked in, yes.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay, Chris made motion to approve.
Second.
Wes seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes.
All right, next up, oh, wrong sheet. Next up is a conversation here about ordering a new motor grader. I budgeted $240,000 for this item. Final bids came in at $206,808. With the trade, we'd like to sell or trade in our 2013 John Deere motor grader that's got about 8,300 hours on it. And then I listed some history of some of the repairs we've had to do to these machines over the years. Well, they're covered under warranty. Just to let you know that once we start getting up into this hour range, the warranty expires and there's some significant repairs, really expensive repairs that, we're kind of right around the corner, I guess. So, this is why we trade them. We've been trading them at this time. I'd probably recommend to keep trading them on the schedule we've been on. But, I told you I'd come back with some history on some things we've had to do. So that's the history I've listed below there.
This new one would go to Holland, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the low bid.
Okay, we have a motion from Luke.
I'll second.
Wes seconded it. Any other discussion?
You have a question?
Okay, Luke.
I noticed on your history here, 2 of the cats had the same metal contamination in tandems and differential. Is that kind of like a factory flaw or something on that?
You know?
It's been an issue with CAT. They're doing more. They might have to do our hydrogen grader also. It was a problem.
So just kind of a factory,
Well,
well,
probably more of a assembly thing, bearing too tight,
okay.
that type of thing.
So they just pick up some little metallic particles
Well,
in magnets or something?
Leaks out a bearing and then that contaminates
Right.
a lot.
Mhm.
The differentials and the tandems.
As they wear, there's gonna be some metallic stuff in the oil or whatever. I don't know how they test that with a magnet or something, or actually
Well,
take an
when
oil
the
analysis.
bearing goes out, then it goes through the system. and
Okay.
Causes problems,
Okay, any other questions? A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Do you know about when that's gonna show up, Nick, or have any, before winter, or?
They didn't give
Okay,
a,
okay.
one available or not, they
Okay.
didn't say that.
All right, next item I have, with that bridge on Highway 75 being closed, people have been not following the detour and taking their own shortcut, which I'm not surprised that's happening. I was contacted by one of the guys at MnDOT last year, and he just advised me to do some traffic counts on roads in the area and said if that does end up happening, you've got some good information in your back pocket, and if you presented that to the state, maybe they would help with the dust control problems. It did end up happening by north of Wilson Manufacturing and then a mile north of that. That north mile is our County Road 70 that went from a traffic count of 56 last year to 89. And granted, these are one-day sample sizes, so they're it'd be more accurate to do it for a longer period of time, but I wanted to get some information right away. And then the one by Wilson Manufacturing went from 40 to 376, so they're getting bombarded with dust pretty bad. We posted the one by Wilson Manufacturing down to 5 tons to at least keep the trucks off it, thinking maybe that helped some. I've been in contact with the state. They said they wouldn't commit to doing anything, but they said, well, if the city or county wants to take care of it, which in this case it's county because it's our road, they might reimburse us. So I guess the way I look at it, we got paid almost $30,000 for the road deterioration or whatever on the detour. If they're not beating up that road, then I think we could apply some of that money to these roads to help with dust control. In the past, we generally don't do that because it could really snowball really bad, you know. But in this case, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're getting hit really bad. The state already paid for the, you know, for the detour damage, and they may very well reimburse us for this too. So I think I'd like to be able to, you know, apply dust control at my discretion. I'd probably start with just the houses. Hopefully that's good enough. But if it's bad enough to where, you know, there's that many cars meeting all the time in between houses, we might actually need to do the whole stretch. But, you know, so nobody gets in a head-on collision or whatever. But I think I'd like to just be able to go ahead and do whatever we see fit on those roads for dust control and turn the bill into the state, and hopefully they pay it. So
That sounds fine to me. I don't know if we need board approval on that,
No.
Steve, or we can just let Nick go ahead and deal with it.
No, it's just information.
okay.
Is the detour, the official detour through the city of Pipestone?
No, that's the one that goes on County Road 10, east of 75, and then down through Holland, and then back on 23.
They're not going all that far around there.
No, they're not wanting to go that far around. So I'm not surprised that happened, I guess, but I was really happy that state guy told me to at least check it last year, so we had some official numbers to give back to him and not just our opinion. So. All right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, while we're talking about that bridge, Nick, can you give us any kind of an update? I understand that there's been a delay in that.
Yep, I honestly have been told nothing. So I have I have no idea what the delay is there. I heard word of mouth that it's something with the railroad, but I haven't got any official word from the state. I can check with them though, see if I can get some type of official update, and then I'll try to remember to send that out.
A little history on that. Has it been 3 weeks since they started? Is that when they actually blocked it off? About 3 weeks ago, if I remember right?
Right after the 4th, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was right after the 4th, and then they delayed it a week right off the bat. So I would say it's probably been a month, hasn't it?
Oh, over a month.
That it's actually been blocked off.
Yeah, I would say it's probably been blocked for about a month already, close to anyway.
And apparently there's absolutely no work being done there whatsoever.
Correct. The contractor moved some equipment in, I see. So I don't know why he wouldn't have done that if he didn't intend to start. You know, that just means he doesn't have that equipment on a different job, so.
Perhaps with your discussions with the state on this dust control, you might point out that already that this detour is getting to be used longer than we thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Even with the 30,000 payment that they gave us for the official detour up on 10, that's going to still see more with a longer time. It'll have more traffic on it.
Yep.
Or
Yep, that's it.
Or you could ask them to postpone it till next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll get some information on that. I'll get back to you guys, so.
I know it's caused a lot of problems just in the community already with some of the businesses up on that north end, on the north side of that bridge already.
Yep.
And I realize it's a state's project, but it'd be nice if they would at least communicate with us so that our people know a little bit more what's going on.
Yep, and when I get back with them here, it sounded like they would be willing to put up some more signage to, you know, so people knew how to get to those businesses, so I will be telling them to proceed with that. Any other questions on, any other things you'd like to know on that project when I contact them?
It's our
We don't have any control over it, but
Matter
we
of-
can give some input.
when it happens.
Sure. Okay. Well, next up then I have just my general maintenance updates. Last month, we've been working on spraying, been doing some ditch cleans, some asphalt patching. We've repaired some soft spots in gravel roads and been continuing on mowing. So that's it for my maintenance updates. I guess the next thing I have is budget review, if you wanted to start on that now, or? Well.
I did give every board member a copy of Nick's outline of what he's got going on for '21. If you want to look at the big sheet, it starts, I believe, on page 98.
101.
Oh, 101, sorry.
All right, well, you know, this year certainly is different due to COVID. We switched up a little bit of how we budget here, I guess, in an effort to keep things low. My proposed budget came in at a 2.4% decrease over last year. Some of the main pieces of equipment we're looking at here would be a motor grader replacement, the last remaining piece of the sign truck, 2 motor grader rollers, a crack filler machine, crack grinder, skid steer pickup broom, a pickup utility trailer, a tractor broom, replacement of our power washer in our shop, and two new shop doors that are in pretty tough shape. Some future things that we delayed would be a mini excavator, skid steer planer. We didn't put anything in for reconstructing of our gravel roads, and nothing for our county overlays. You'll see a lot of smaller things on here this year. You know, we delayed a large piece of equipment because some of the smaller things we kind of have been chipping away at. The total came in smaller than a large piece of equipment, so that's part of how we did our budget decrease here. So I guess that's the overview I have of our 2021 budget. Anybody have any short overview, I guess? Does anybody have any questions?
Salaries, we worked on 1%, right?
Correct, yep, salaries were 1%, and then,
Kathy, do we have union negotiations with the highway department this year? Yes. Okay.
Nick, the truck hoist that we bought before, I know we got 4 of them now. How are those working for lifting trucks?
I haven't got any compliments or complaints, but I oftentimes walk back into the shop and see a truck up on them, and I see they've been getting used for like our pickups too, instead of the, our pickup hoist. So I don't really want to speak for the guys, but I see with how much they're getting used, they certainly seem to be going over well to me, so.
Where are we at on easements or right of way on that John Deere Road?
We've got the north half mile or quarter mile, whatever stretch that is, on the east side, and I believe we've got part of the west side, south of the John Deere corner too. So we have some of those easements out there already.
Is there quite a bit left to get then, or not really?
I don't think so. I know one of the other owners I talked to, he was in support of the project, so I don't expect a problem there. And then the other ones haven't been contacted yet, so I don't know. They might love the idea too. I mean, this might be the easiest one we've ever done. I don't know. Usually when you want to pave in front of someone's road, they're usually pretty cooperative, so.
Right.
It's about a mile, isn't it, or is it slightly over a mile?
Mile and a quarter, mile and a half, whatever that, from Highway 23 down to that South John Deere corner.
I think it's a busy area there. It'd be nice to have it paved at some point, or
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
moving in that direction, so.
we calcium chloride that whole stretch because of all the traffic we got there, so, yeah, that'd be a good one to do, so. It's in the 5-year plan for 2023, I think.
Yep.
So.
Was it last year we had all the mud problems out there, the frost boil?
Yep. Yep, so we probably won't put any major repairs into that road, we'll just kind of limp it along until we do the reconstruction.
Well, your budget, okay to me. We don't know what the weather's gonna do this winter, and we don't know what
Right.
fuel prices are gonna be exactly, but.
Yep, and like for our overtime and fuel and stuff, we don't have a line item for snow plowing, but we try to budget, kind of for the average year, because if you budget for the worst year, well, then most years you're gonna be way off, so. So try to hit the average of that over the years, so.
So you don't think you'll need another motor grader probably until 23 and then 25? Is that kind of looks like you're
Oh, is that in that?
forward?
Yeah, it's on the backside.
Okay.
Every other year, once you get in a rotation, is that kind of?
It's so hard to tell because it depends on what kind of summer we have, how many hours are we putting on them blading, how many hours are we putting on them plowing snow. We're just taking our best guess here at a long-term plan, but it's really hard to, I don't know, we're trying to predict the weather every year for 5 years out, and it's about impossible, so.
Those garage doors that you're talking about, are those the big overhead doors in the shop?
Correct, yep, we've got 5 of them, I think 3 are new.
Well, I'm sure they get used a lot, and you want to have them
Oh, yeah.
seal up good, so.
Yeah, I would say all of them probably open every day. That's in the old shop I'm talking, not the newer one.
Those original? From when it was built, I suppose?
I don't know. They could be, I guess. It could be back from the 80s.
Well, they went up and down quite a few times.
Yeah, they have. The one broke a spring even just a month ago. We got that fixed. Hopefully we can reuse that spring on the new one, so. But yeah, it's time for those, so.
Yeah.
They have power openers and stuff on them, don't they?
Correct, yep. Yep.
Nick, you've got $7,000 budgeted for a pickup utility trailer. How much do you think that would be utilized?
It's hard to tell because we've never had one. I think it would be helpful when you only need a little bit here and there versus driving the full-size truck somewhere. It'd be nice for like sweeping streets in the spring because we've been, having a payload or whatever to load all that into a large truck when we don't really have that much material. We could just dump it in this smaller, trailer pulled with a pickup instead of the truck, but, so I.
They are very handy, I agree with that, but I just wonder, first of all, what do we got for pickups to pull that? Just half tons? We got some 3/4 tons.
We've got 3 3/4 ton pickups. 2 are really new, really nice shape. One's pretty old and tired, but, we've at least got 2 nice 3/4 tons to pull that with.
Would this be a bumper hitch trailer?
Correct. Yeah.
There's a lot of farmers have these things now. They dump out, or a dump box type of a trailer.
I've seen them around, yeah.
Looking for?
Yeah, like,
You can haul gravel with them or whatever you want.
you could, for us hauling gravel on our roads, we'd use our large trucks for that. But, when you got little projects here and there, the street sweeping, whatever, what have you like that, we would, it'd probably be nicer to use this than take the large truck out there for just a couple yards of material. But to be honest, we've never had one of these, so it's hard to answer that question exactly how much it get used. I'd like to think it's one of those items, once you get it, you find 10 more uses for it.
In a pinch, you could run your skid loader in it and haul it too.
Yeah, should be able to, yep. I've seen that done. I would assume that would be the kind we would get, but I'm not sure on that. I don't want to tell you yes if I'm not not completely certain, but I think so, yeah.
They seem to be pretty common in the landscape and the
Correct.
construction industry.
I think once you have it though, you find a lot more uses than you think.
That would be my bet. But
Even.
What's the smallest dump truck that we've got? Dump body, just the big ones. We got the plows mounted on. We got the
correct, they're all the same
little,
size. Yeah,
we don't need deuce and a halves. Yeah.
Not sure exactly what that is, but all of our plow trucks are the same size. So if you can visualize any of our plow trucks you've seen, they're all, all 6 of them are the same size.
All full size ones, yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, I can see where this would be very handy, but just so we'd utilized it enough to justify buying one.
Yep. Yeah, I think we'd get quite a bit of use out of it. We used to have a smaller, like, single axle dump truck, but that was probably 10 years ago we sold that. It just, it had a lot of miles on it, and it wasn't a plow truck. It was just the last remaining one we had of that smaller size, so. Maybe it's even more than 10 years ago. I barely remember it being around.
Well, it's a lower profile trailer too, where your trucks are way up in the air. To
Yeah, I don't know
lift
if
and
it's-
load things. It might be handy to
I don't-
use for some
Right, I don't know if a skid steer can reach into the back of our trucks. I think they might.
trucks. Yeah, I don't know either, because they're pretty high.
So we might have to even run a payloader out there
So
to,
this
pick it up.
might be helpful to have.
yeah.
It's not a terrible big investment. It's in relation to some of the other things that we need, so.
Oh, yeah.
It might save some wear and tear on some other trucks and stuff too, so.
Oh, it definitely would. On our bigger trucks, those aren't that cheap to run around all over the place, so, yeah, it would help there too.
Over time, you'd probably save just on fuel.
I'm sure it'd take more fuel in the pickup to pull these around, but,
Are your 3/4 ton pickups, are they still gas powered, or are you using
Correct.
diesels now? Still gas engines?
yeah, we have all gas pickups. This is kind of like a construction type world that we're in, so I'm not convinced that a diesel would be, the body would probably fall apart on them before we'd, wear the engines out. The city of Hennepin County or one of those metro places like that, they did a study on, they had like these 1 1/4 ton trucks, and they had half of them gas and half of them diesel, and they just tracked the life cycle cost of them, and it was a lot cheaper back then to operate gas, I personally prefer diesel. You got a lot more power, and it just
Depends if you're gonna, the diesels cost a lot more to purchase in the beginning and.
and
yeah.
fix and do all the maintenance on. So, until I get something to make me believe otherwise for cost or find an actual need for the, power or whatever, I'd probably just stick
Some of
with
the
gas.
bids you've had on pickups are pretty reasonable too. If you
Yeah.
add another $10,000 diesel option to a $30,000 pickup, that's a big
Yep.
25% increase over.
Yeah. So we have all gas right now. I plan on staying that way unless something changes, like we need the power or they get more economical or whatever. But, so that's why you have gases, and that's my plan, I guess.
You can buy a lot of gas for the difference in price between the diesel and gas.
Yeah, I mean, all those things were considered in that study up in Metro, so like, I don't have any reason to go against it, so I'm probably gonna just follow it, so. And maybe it's such a thing, we'd use this so much we would want a diesel, I don't know, but for right now, we'll probably stick with the gas stuff.
Okay, any other questions for Nick? Dan, you have anything else?
Nope, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Nick.
Yep, well, that's all I had for today.
Thanks, Nick.
Mary Ann on the schedule for 10 o'clock, but she is here. Did you want to come forward? Okay. We might just as well continue. It is close to 10 anyway, I guess.
Close enough.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here for several reasons today. The first one is a request for board action for scanning of the track index books and the bound marriage books. We started this project last winter and then COVID hit, so that kind of put a stop to it because the courthouse was closed and nobody could come in here. We did have a company come in several years ago and they scanned from the 1870s to the early 1970s. Last summer, we had some summer help come in. We have about 15 years left that we would like to get scanned. Part of the project is also scanning the old marriage records. They're starting to get very brittle. Some of them are 143 years old, so we don't want to handle them. If we can get them scanned, put them into the real estate system, then we don't have to handle them, and we can issue the certified copies. A lot of people use those for genealogy purposes. We also use marriage records for the driver's license for the real ID. So we've seen an uptick in the certified copies. For several months while the courthouse was closed, of course, driver's license stations weren't open, but now we've seen an increase again. So my request is to go ahead with the bid from US Imaging. That bid is for $20,909. Taxpayer dollars would be used for this. We would use the funds from the compliance fund and also the technology fund. Tyler Technology is has our real estate system. Their costs are $3,740 with an annual fee of $202.
I just have one question.
Hey, Luke, go ahead.
They talked about a three-stage process. Apparently, the stage 3, there's no cost,
Let me look at
because they
that.
only list a cost for phase 1 and 2.
We had to revise the bid because at one time they wanted 24/7 access and we could not do that.
Right.
And then we also revised the bid because we took out, that's my second request is the summer, or we're having part-time help come in. So let me just check this last one. They just revised this last one again. Let me check here. Phase 2 is the, scan the tracks, scan the marriage records, and that, you are correct then, yep.
Okay, thank you.
That was just updated last week. Basically, they come in with the overhead scanners. The track index books, it's like going to the library. You have the books there, and we have most of them, imaged, but you don't have the card file to find out where that book is located, and that's what the abstractors and the bankers need right now. I don't know if our vault will ever open to the public again. and by having the track index books online along with all of the records. There really won't be a need for anybody looking for real estate records to come to our office. The one thing that we do is we get really good money from our online access. I think last year we made over $16,000. And so it's a really good moneymaker. They do get a break on the fee for copies. We charge $1 a copy in our office to make the copy, but then it's our staff, our toner, our copiers, our printers, paper, etc. Or when they print it off online, they get a cheaper cost, but then they're using their supplies. So we have 3 different packages that they can go. They can go for a day pass, a limited monthly, or an unlimited plan. The unlimited plan is becoming very popular for the big abstractors and things like that. We also have a couple of companies, I think one of them's out of California, that pays every month. I don't know that they ever do any viewing. We can track to see what documents are printed, which documents they're looking at, and things like that. When they become an online subscriber, they have to go online, put their email of record, put payment, and then the county never has to deal with the payment. We just get a check every month, ACH payment from the vendor. So that is my first request.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay, Luke made a motion to approve. Chris seconded. Any other discussion? It's something we might as well move forward with and get it.
And the project will be done then. Yep. Then our records will be completely scanned. And the biggest thing is there is no backup for those old records. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approve?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
And my second request is to hire am I going to get the terminology? Full-time temporary position. I've worked with Kathy on this, what she's recommending, that we hire somebody, I think they can work 67 days or $5,100, and then they can take a break, and then next year come back again. I don't know how long it would take them to finish those last 15 years. In our spare time, we're still trying to get them, and I like the idea of hiring somebody local with the economy the way it is. If we can get somebody local on board and get them, on the payroll for a little bit, it'll help everybody involved. Once again, the fees for that would come from the compliance fund. We presently have $97,000, a little over $97,000 in the compliance fund, $40,000 in the technology fund.
Well, it would give somebody a little part-time work and some income, plus you would get some progress in your
Right, yep.
thing, and we can apparently can afford to do it if you already have the money there, so.
I'd move to approve.
Okay, Les made the motion. I'd second it. Any other discussion?
I do have a couple of questions for Mary Ann. In your narrative, then it talks about the summer help that you'd used previously wasn't able to finish it. That's just because of the massive amount that needed to be scanned?
Correct. And then we also, when we hired them, told them they could set their own hours. I would like the new position to come in and work an 8-hour shift, or at least a 6 or 7 hour shift. The summertime, one of them taught school. She was a summer teacher, so she taught school during the summer, and they didn't always, some days they didn't come in at all, and if I have it correct, Kathy, there's, whether they work 1 hour a day for that 67 days or 8 hours, it counts as one of the 67 days. Is that correct? So I would like this to be more of a full-time temporary position.
And from an HR standpoint, then what does this mean, full-time temporary? Are they entitled to benefits, or are they what's the difference between that and the summer help, I guess, is my question.
It would be the same as the summer help. It's just a definition of a temporary position, is that 67 days. That's why you want to keep it under that, to prevent them from getting the benefits. To keep them out of the benefits plans and their contributions and stuff like that.
So then the only real difference from what we've done in the past is that it's going to be a little more structured as far as what the expectations are.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
I think the last thing then for my portion of the agenda is the 2021 budget. There aren't many changes to the budget at all from last year. One thing that we've really seen a swing since COVID started is in the e-recording. We started in 2012, we did 56 e-recordings the entire year. This year we've already done 461. There is talk to make recording e-recording only. The court system did this several years ago, that you can't go to the court system or mail in a document, that you have to actually e-file. And I think the recorder's office will be following this same practice in the next couple of years. And like I said, thank goodness Pipestone Abstract was on board with this, because they're even doing some e-filing for some of the local banks and things. But like I said, we've gone from 56 in 2012 to 461, and that was through July. So it's really increased. It's also a very good money saver for the county. We don't have to mail any of the documents back. There's no envelopes, there's no postage. So it's a win-win for everybody. The other thing is that the submitter can get that filed copy back immediately. There's no waiting for it, so.
Okay.
The other thing we've seen an uptick on too is certified copies of marriage license and certified copies of birth certificates, and both of them come because of the real ID. People need the documentation. We have not increased our fees for our online services since we started putting our records online. And I think we'll hold off because the county is presently making good money. And
Well, with the virus thing where everybody's in kind of a, don't really know what the future holds. We don't really know even, so yeah, it's nice if we can keep the budgets.
One thing that's really nice about our real estate program is we have different departments in it. I would really like to get the old death certificates scanned too, and all we have to do is create another department, and we can scan them in-house. Once again, every year passes, those records get older and more brittle and things like that. So
That's something a person could do too with this extra help.
Yep.
They might work down the road if that's
Correct.
something you can kind of continue to do. Okay. Other questions for Mary Ann, or?
You're going well.
We kind of have a boring
Haven't had
office.
a lot of complaints. Haven't had a lot of complaints, so that's good.
That's good.
It might be boring, but it's very, very important.
And, you know, we've lost almost all of our traffic, and that's a good thing, because the people the technology that the county can embrace, those records are now backed up, and it's just, it's the convenience. People don't want to get in their car and drive to the courthouse to look up some records. They want to sit at their desk at the office or home in their pajamas and look up their real estate records and look up things, do genealogy, things like that. So
I think most people are pretty happy with the services they're still getting, even though it's kind of shut down here. Biggest ones I hear, older people complaining about driver's license processing and all the details that go, but that's not our, we don't make those rules either, so
and
we just
you
have
know,
to work through it. So.
Several years ago, the Recorders Association took all of the marriage licenses and at no cost through MACO put all of those records into a database. So if somebody comes in, Luke, and he said, you know, your wife needs a certified copy of her marriage license, and you think you got married in Pipestone, but if you actually applied for the license in Hennepin County, that record's not in Pipestone, it's in Hennepin County. So we at our desks can look up and say, in Minnesota, where you applied for that license. And like I said, that was a collaboration with MACO, and there was no cost involved other than the county's time to put that in, so.
Well, in your department, the technology is really helping.
It is.
Some
It is.
places it probably doesn't affect them that much, but if they use it and it speeds things up, makes it easier for you. So.
Yeah, the entire recording industry has changed, especially with COVID. We're going to be seeing the e-notarizations now, where Steve can sign a document in Pipestone, and the notary can be in Hennepin County and notarize his signature. I know I've talked with Gavin at Pipestone Abstract, and he said that, during closings now, everybody has a computer, and he's in one room, and the closer's in another room, and the couple signings in another room, but they get the job done, and so.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it has changed how we
It
do
has,
business. Now, if
yeah.
the state, like you said, the driver's license issues really have not had anything to do with COVID. It just makes it more difficult with masks to get in here and do it, but the requirements are still the same. And if people would understand, if they can renew their license the same as they did before for one time, use their old picture, and do it all online. But as you said, some of the older folks do it in person and want to do that, so.
They're used to coming in and doing it.
Exactly. So, that's still available.
They want to hand you the check for their taxes.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ann.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, our next item is Joyce at 10:30. You want to take a 15-minute break? Okay.
We've never hit it this hard for a long time.
Okay.
Joyce is here to talk about a card scanning project.
Among other things.
A field card scanning project. I thought, that sounds kind of like something else. Anyway, just to follow up, because the last time I met with you guys, I didn't know what the situation was with support and maintenance. And so I went back to the office that day and called him, and he said, as long as the program, we don't change something in the program, support and maintenance is included in that. He said, I'll be honest with you, lots of times they see this product and they want to do things further. I don't quite understand where he was going with that, but that you'd improve it or enhance it. And so if we would choose to do that, there would be a cost. I mean, basically, we're scanning this electronically in, and I can't see us necessarily changing that process, but.
Once it's in, you can access all the information.
Yeah.
There's really nothing more to do, is there?
So we make a PDF file of our field cards, and then this is the program, we go out and park it, and they're gonna access it and then electronically transfer it into Laserfish. It's our permanent record. So certainly we aren't gonna change that, but if the product can be used, this transferring product created by this OPG company is something that we can use maybe in some other homesteads maybe, or, I could see that maybe. But I have to analyze the cost of that too. But this is very, we'll save a lot of time, a lot of paper, a lot of, copy. It's just a win-win, I think. So so our maintenance and support is covered with the current product that they've developed for us. So my request was to get approval for the purchase of that. We would then schedule, if it's approved, to schedule them actually coming in and working with us and getting that set up. So, and he didn't think we would go over budget either. I mean, as far as, this is a firm number, it isn't, $185 if they go over or whatever, so that would be my request, is that we do approve it, saving time and expense down the road. I think we'll have a 2-year return on investment.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay, Chris,
Second.
motion to approve, Les seconded. Any other discussion?
I do have one other item. When I did talk to that salesman, he brought up the COVID money. And I said, well, explain to me how you think this would qualify. And so currently, we would have to be in our office to do this, the way we sit today. With this product, the girls could do it from home electronically. So social distancing, certainly, that would be, and we typically do this after County Board of Equalization when everything's final. And so, it's a consideration,
If you can use
I
it
guess.
that way or make it work through the system.
So if it was something we felt we had to get this project off our desks, and we were, certainly working from home or because of COVID or some other issue, that it would be possible. So that's your decision how you guys want to do that, but, so.
In my opinion, that's a really good bonus in case this COVID thing goes south on us again and we have to lock down going into winter, being able to, we may be having people working from home again.
Yeah, and what we do is we will, I take that back. Right now, we scan those papers, and then they're gonna use them for New Year. The guys will take those out for New Year assessment, but that really doesn't have anything to do with this transfer, so.
Okay, any other? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, then you want to talk about the budget a little bit?
So I don't have a whole lot of frills in my budget. Coming in or going out, it seems like it's the same each year, so. And I certainly tried the best we could, trying to keep it at a minimum, but with people shifting jobs because of the law change, that's gonna affect us in the 22 assessment, so that's why Chris and Lisa are working on their AMAs. They have to be that, and within, by year 2022. Kim is our other appraiser. She will need to be there. They allow her 5 years from the time she's CMA, and she should be CMA next year. So that goes out to 26, but we certainly want her there before that because she can't go out and view property on her own without that license. So then that puts a burden on the other two and the load and all that kind of thing. So going forward, there's not a lot of changes here. Fees, maybe I'll just kind of go through this, but I want to touch on, employees as we go forward. Fees, I left at $8,400. Our contracts, we currently contract with the townships of Etna, Altona, and Fountain Prairie. We're still I considered raising that, but a little bit, with the economy the way it is, that's a concern. But we are at 12.5 a parcel, and that's in the ballpark of where everybody's at that is doing that. So it's not like we're, being underpaid. So. So that left as is, and I will be coming, once I have all three of those contracts, I will be coming to the board for to get those approved, so. Salaries, we got 5 full-time employees, and the largest impact was Chris last month received her AMA accreditation, which is a big step. Huge, lots of work to get there. So she's done a great job, and glad she's moving forward. Hopefully Lisa will be in that later this year before year end. So health insurance and PRA, that's all kind of set, I guess, based on that. Telephones, we had the increase there was when we went to working from home. None of us had a cell phone. So to be connected in Zoom meetings and all, it's been, a great asset. So we ended up getting four cell phones for me and the 3 appraisers, so Kim and Lisa and Chris and myself. So that was the increase due to that. Printing, I did increase that a little bit, just assuming that they're probably going to have maybe a cost increase. So it's just a minor increase. Dues and subscriptions, that increased a little bit because of additional staff just paying their dues and that kind of thing. Training is the same way. We minimized it though. I want to keep them on track because once they get their AMA and like my license as SAMA, we have to have 60 hours of continuing ed over a 4-year period. And I want to keep us on track with that and not get behind because some of these classes are only offered a certain time of year, which could not work in our schedule, or whatever. So other than that, I asked them that we're not going to go to fall conference. We're not going to, we trimmed what we possibly could to kind of keep that at a minimum. Mileage, I just left that in there. It's just that situation where, and this doesn't happen quite honestly much because of the 2 cars now. But when we had the one, we once in a while would run into, where it wasn't available, or, sometimes it was made more sense to leave from home than come here and get a car and that kind of thing. Meals and lodging, same thing, just more staff. And that's really about it. So I think I ended up with, what, a 6% increase, maybe?
4.6.
4.6, okay. Hey, I did it not too bad. But just to touch on staffing, so for the July 1st of 2022, and so we're really about, I'm working on 21 assessment pay 22 right now. So we're really about a year away from where the local assessors that we currently have, if they're not going forward with their training, we're going to be taking that over potentially, or we're going to have to contract with someone that currently is licensed. And I would like to actually pursue that. I never thought about that until just recently. And, by 22, everybody that steps foot on a place is to have this AMA certification. So we may have situations where staff in other counties would be interested in possibly doing a contract and taking on a township or 2. And that might help us as far as, transitioning or whatever that plan is, if we want to do it all in-house, if we want to try to, locally contract. So probably later this year, we should meet as whoever's on personnel and kind of see what our options are there, so.
Are any of the current appraisers, locally getting whatever training they need to keep doing it? Or?
Dave Scotting does 5 townships and 6 cities, 6 the little cities, Holland, Hatfield, that kind. He has told me no, he is not moving forward. So that alone frees up those.
Quite
5.
a few.
Yeah. We have Eden Township is actually done by the Martin County. He's retired now. He was the Martin County assessor. He's kind of indicated maybe he was short-termer, wasn't going to go forward. Well, he's got it, but he's not going to do it forever. We have a gentleman from Slayton who does 3 townships, and he has indicated he's going to continue on. Let's see, who else do we have? And Eric Skolkvist does Pipestone, Jasper, Edgerton, and he's a SAMA. So basically, the ones I guess I'd be concerned about is Dave Scotting's townships, and possibly the one from Murray, if he doesn't fulfill that. I mean, I think we got to be prepared somewhat for that change, but 3 townships aren't as bad as, I guess, well, all at once might be a little bit more, but, so I'd like to kind of poll the region and just see if some of those are interested in doing it. So, but I haven't done any of that work, so I think it's something we got to consider, and if nothing else, it may help us get through the transition of getting our staff there too, so.
So does each assessor that's going out for like this Dave or the Martin County, do they set their own rates?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just, they deal with the township.
Okay. So they deal with them directly on fees and all that? So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's the side we got to talk with too, and it's kind of a, just to kind of tell them what the options are, and but meeting with a township is not the easiest thing today either, so, but maybe we have to do it by Zoom or something. Sure. But just kind of, seeing what's out there, if there's any interest whatsoever, and, discussing that with the townships, that they might have some other options.
Okay.
Other than that, any other questions? That's my budget.
Okay.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thanks, Joyce.
We're a little bit ahead of schedule. Tyler's here. Are you okay with moving forward a little? Okay.
You need to get back to elections anyway.
About the CARES Act information.
Oh, Joyce.
Can't get very far.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
That's the voice from above.
Right, exactly.
Good morning.
Right. Well, Steve, I don't know if you want to lead off with this, or I can if you want. It's up to you.
What's that?
You want to start off with this, or?
I'll just give them a little background, then we can get into it. After our last meeting, we put together a committee, Tyler and I, Les, and Dan, as two commissioner representatives, to sit down and go over the CARES Act. Just a little bit of background for those listening on video. On June 25th, Governor Walz used his executive orders to disperse $841 million to local governments for coronavirus aid, or CARES Act funding is what it came down to. After that, what happened, information went out to the local governments, and so what's going on there is towns and cities less than 200 people must request their funds from the county by September 15, 2020. Counties must spend our money by December 1st of 2020, and any unexpended funds from the counties, if we don't use it all, would have to go back to the state by December 10th. So what's been going on since then? Pipestone County has received its money. I think we got that 29th, I think it was in that disbursement amount, so we probably got it probably on the 29th, I'm guessing.
Yep.
So the next disbursement is August 14th. That'd be the next distribution date for counties, cities, and townships greater than 200 people. So those cities and townships need to apply just like Pipestone County did to get their money. To date, the only one, I checked the list yesterday, and the only one on the list as of the July 29th was the city of Pipestone so far that had actually applied and received their funding. So towns and cities under 200 must request their funds from the county, and that needs to be done by September 15th of 2020. So what I did is I put together packets all last week and got them. They went out in the mail to all the small cities and townships on August 7th. So that would be on that CARES list if you have a copy of that in your packet. Actually, I sent it out to everybody in the whole county. I sent some different information to those that have greater than 200 to let them know you need to apply to get your money from the state. So everybody else, I sent it to the Hatfield, Holland, Island, Trotsky, Woodstock, and Etna, Altona, Fountain Prairie, Grange, and Rock, that they need to apply to us. And I made a form, put it in there, and basically had 2 lines on it. Do you want your money? Yes. Do you want to give it to the county? Yes, check one box, and whatever you want to do, we'll work with you. Told them to email it or mail it back to Tyler so we can get that money out to them by the 15th of September. So they got a nice packet of good information in that, so I doubt you've got anything back yet, but should be coming anytime. So taking it from there, Tyler, if you want to talk about what we talked about on Tuesday, the dollars and what we've got and all that, that'd be great.
Yeah, all right, so as you might be aware, our portion of the CARE funds, the actual county portions for our funding is $1,103,627. So at our meeting, that's what we were kind of determining how we want to break out. We're not going to rely on the $54,000 from everybody else now, because obviously that's not our money as of now. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. More than likely, they won't take it, but I can't say that for sure. So after discussing with Dan, Les, Steve, and myself, this is kind of the preliminary breakdown that we're recommending, or that we came up with. So out of that $1,103,627, $92,000 would go to Southwest Health and Human Services, which is what they requested from the 6 counties. $500,000 would go to for-profit businesses at $5,000 a grant per business. So we have 100 businesses there. and then 200,000 for nonprofits. So we'd have 40 businesses for there, up to the $5,000 again. Also, we did include 150,000 for the 3 schools, so that would be 50,000 apiece for each school for their funding and their shortfalls. With the remaining 161,627 for our expenses. So that's just kind of our. Currently, I ran the numbers. Currently, we're at $79,540. That's how much we've already spent. So we've already spent half that money, so we're just kind of extending that out until the end of the year. We're probably going to still have some expenses. Whether we spend it all or not, we'll cross that bridge. We can always give up more grants, so on and so forth, or however the board wants to decide how they want to do that. So I guess that's what we're bringing to you guys today. That's what we came up with. We can change that however you want. This is completely your guys' decision. And moving forward, that's kind of what we have to get set first right today so that we know how many grants we can accept, so on and so forth. We can always change this in the future. If in 2 months from now we think we're going to have more money because we're not spending it here at the county, so on and so forth, we're getting it from some of the small cities, we can always increase or spend that money elsewhere. So this is just preliminary. We just need to get this going so that we can get the grant applications approved, and so we can start accepting those and get that money paid out as soon as possible. So really what we're looking for today is the funding breakdown, so Steve and I can move forward with getting all that stuff taken care of.
Tyler, I just had a couple quick questions. When you look at, like the nursing homes, Good Sam, Edgebrook, Sunrise Village, are they considered nonprofit businesses, organizations? Are they eligible to?
If they're a 501.
Okay, I don't know how that works.
I don't know their structure as an organization, honestly. I haven't looked into it. I have no idea what they would qualify or not.
I know that they're for profit, but I don't know.
Right. So they would only under what we came up with, the only people that would qualify is if you have a 501 designation. We can put a more restriction on that if you wish, and only include all Cs, which are all nonprofits.
Simpler is better.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, the only reason you would add the C, I mean, so you wouldn't be including any 501Ds. So that's essentially churches. That's the main thing of a lot of Ds are going to be the churches. So they wouldn't be able to apply if you only say Cs. So that's completely up to you. As of right now, the grant language or the application language is any 501 organization, period. So
Southwest Christian High School, for example.
If they're a D, they would qualify.
The grade school in Itterton too, that's a.
Correct. Yep. So I mean, yeah, we only, that private school funding, we didn't really look into that. I don't know how they're all structured for the.
Could they be considered nonprofit or we don't know?
We don't know how they're structured, at all, and it's.
Yeah. So I mean.
Somebody had reached out to me that liked the notion of having it just all 501 with no letter designation.
Right.
So that way, you're not
simple.
excluding anyone.
Correct. Yep. And I'm completely fine with that. I mean, simpler the better for me personally. I just want to get this money out to the community.
Take care of all this too, so.
Correct, yes. It's a lot easier when you have the less restrictions on this that you put.
I think it's pretty clear, most people are hurting in some manner.
Correct.
We're all
Yep.
affected by it.
Yes. And I will say for the schools portion, since Southwest Christian, they're not a public school, that 150 was only for the public schools. So it'd be Pipestone, Edgerton, and RTR.
Way they could, if they did qualify for a nonprofit.
Exactly, so they could get up to 5,000. I mean, it's something. I mean, obviously, this isn't making anybody whole. This is just trying to help people. I mean, $1 million sounds like a lot of money until you start spreading it across the entire county, so.
And it's first come, first serve?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So.
And of course, we'd keep all the applications on hand, as Tyler meant, so if we hit more money at the end of this, we didn't use all of our money, or let's say we got even 25,000 back of supplemental from townships and small cities that didn't want it, we could turn around and reallocate more grants out. Rock County did very similar to that. They started out very similar to what we did. They did like 500,000 and 175,000 for nonprofits. And if they had more money, they would funnel, because I think we'll have plenty of applications. They will come in, and I think we'll not have enough to go around would be the biggest thing.
That's my thinking, not enough money.
And I guess the only other thing that Steve and I are still kind of working with, we met with our SRDC last Friday or last Thursday, we had a webinar about them possibly doing the grant allocation for us. So we would be the fiscal agent, but they would be the fiscal host. We would essentially, hey, this is what our qualifications are. If they meet that qualification, pay it out. So we're looking into that. That was mainly when my office can handle this. We can definitely do it, but we just figured it's at least an avenue worth searching into. If it's cheap enough to not take a lot of our funds, we can do it that way. So we're working with them right now. They're running some numbers to see if it's even feasible. It's very preliminary right now for that, but that would be another expense possibly. Like I said, if it's going to cost even a decent amount, I'd rather just do it here. But so we're just kind of looking into that avenue as well. So.
And we'd be looking at them being the fiscal host for the for-profit and nonprofits, so that'd be processing 140 grant applications is what we're looking at.
How soon are you gonna open this thing up? I mean, soon.
What did you say, the 20, I forgot what you put on there again?
In front of me.
Originally I had on the grant application that we were going to do it from, what was my date here?
I think it was the 24th.
Oh, August 17th through September 18th, so basically a 30-day window. So we could open up as soon as Friday, and we don't need to make the determination on the SRDC at this point. We need to get this going now. Let's get it going with it.
Right.
So we can get moving on it. So we could open them up on Friday. We can get it posted on Facebook, county website, and
Can publish in the paper if need
people
be.
download and get the applications coming in. That's what we need to do, is get them coming.
Are you gonna have the applications online? Or
Yes.
are
Yes,
gonna
we will.
have
Yep, we're going to try to get this out in the public as much as possible for people.
Online,
We'll put it on the county website, so they'll be able to download it online, and then we're gonna have it on there that they can submit it to myself. And then it'll be up to my office to determine the first come, first serve, so we'll date, time, stamp, whether they email it back to us, they mail it, or they drop it off. That's how we're gonna determine first come, first serve. So whoever gets it to our office first is kind of who gets it, so.
Mail's faster than postal service.
Correct. So, I mean, yeah, I would prefer it by email, but it's completely up to them how they wanna submit it, so.
you're not gonna have a bunch of these printed up to hand out?
Oh, sure.
We can, yeah, I mean, it's,
Well, just so we know.
oh, heck yeah. If someone wants me to print one off for them, I can email it to them, I can do anything. I'm more than willing to work with anybody on this. So they just have to reach out to the auditor treasurer's office, so. But yeah, the sooner the better, to be honest with me. I mean, we got this money to get out in the public as fast as possible. And I don't like just holding on to $1 million. That's not technically, I mean, it's ours, but it's not really ours. So I want to get this out and start helping people as much as possible, so.
Can't make any interest anyway.
No, it's just sitting there. Exactly, yeah, they're 0.001% right now, so. Yeah, so we're just looking for approval. Like I said, that was our preliminary recommendation. You guys can change those numbers however you want. We just need to know, we need to have that set after this meeting, so that we can Steve and I can move forward.
Is there gonna be a announcement of that this is available, some in the paper, just
Yeah,
on
we
the
can put one in the
website,
paper.
or-
We can put one in the paper, we can put it online, we can, like I said, we'll have my contact.
Aware of it, that it's out there.
Correct. And I've been getting contacted by a number of businesses already. I mean, people, they've heard from other counties that are doing it. I mean, this CARES Act is pretty commonly known that this stuff is coming.
So the best thing would be just to contact your office.
Correct.
And then
Yes.
you could email them
I can email them application, they can stop in, we can drop one off to them. Like I said, they can download off the website. I mean, I'm assuming that this is gonna be in the paper anyways, so, we're trying to get it out there as much as possible. I truly do not think it's gonna be a problem finding
And they can
100
apply
businesses.
for the city money as well as the county money.
Correct, yeah,
If they have
so,
enough loss,
if they have enough loss.
yeah.
Yep,
So I mean, it'll be good to get that information out, so for
Correct.
those that need it, they know that you can apply for both.
yep. Yeah, so it's, essentially, if a business shows that they have $10,000 for loss, or I guess I don't really know what the city said.
I think
I
they did the same thing.
Did they do 5,000?
Yeah.
So if they have $10,000 worth of loss, then they could get 5,000 from both. So, like I said, this is as long as you can show the loss, you essentially qualify. That's really what it is. That's why I like our application. It puts the pressure on the businesses to make sure they track their expenses. So when it comes time for audit, we're covered for liability's sake. Essentially, whenever the auditors ask, they'll probably pull 25 grants. I'll have to contact the businesses, and it'll be up to them to provide the documentation for their expenditures, or else they would lose the grant. So, yep, there are definitely checks and balances put in place. We have a lot of federal standards that we have to follow, being the fiscal agent of this, and we're just making sure that we're going by the book completely for all of it.
Just a little update on that.
Tyler, do we know, does the city have, did they say what their intent was as far as working with SRDC to administer for them? Is that a possibility as well?
Dan, the city is doing theirs all through the city EDA.
Okay, I also wonder if it doesn't work with SRDC, if we could also go through the EDA or possibly even Pipestone Area Chamber might be a avenue as well to administer.
No, I think we want to do it through SRDC, being they work with grants. They're a good fiscal agent. They've been doing lots of these things. Tyler, your opinion?
My opinion is I would prefer, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I would prefer if it's not going to be SRDC, it's an organization that represents the entire county as a whole, not just one city inside of the county, that would fall back to our office. Just
Well, Pipestone Area Chamber does encompass the entire county. It's not just the city.
Is it? It does? Okay. Well, like I said, if it's not SRDC, I want to do it in my office. I mean, it's really what it boiled down to. I mean, we have the time to do it. The SRDC option was brought up strictly because I know they have a lot of expertise in it. Like I said, we can handle it, but if it's economies of scale just kind of works best for them to handle it, they're kind of doing a lot of other things. We'll let them do it. But if
What
not,
kind of impression did you get from Jay when you visited with them? Is it something they think they want to be able to take on?
I feel like they're open to it, but they definitely have to crunch some numbers. That was my take from it. That they want to see exactly amount. They want to know exactly how we're running the grant, what they expected of us. The fact that we just want them to be the fiscal hosts, and all they're really doing is just taking the applications and cutting the check. But they definitely did indicate that they're going to have to crunch some numbers to come back with us to see how much it would cost, and that's what I'm personally waiting on to see if we are even going to go that avenue.
And Dan, just so you know too, I emailed all of our applications and grant applications to them yesterday to Jay. So we met with them yesterday afternoon, so we just sent them over there. We don't have the information back yet, so we're waiting on that. Just to let the board and everybody know what the city did. The city used the essential versus non-essential, and they went to non-essential entities that were affected or closed. They didn't use anyone that was an essential organization that was open anyway. Some of those would be larger businesses that really don't fall under the small business category anyway, that needed to be open, or big stores and that type of thing. They needed the person who was applying to be registered with the Minnesota Secretary of State. We require on our application to have a federal ID and a state tax ID, so we can track it that way. And then also on ours, when discussing with SRDC, they wanted, some businesses have a different name, but they're not operating the business, so we wanted a DBA or a doing business as listed on the application as well, instead of just the parent company. The city also did the same amounts, up to $5,000, to non-essential or non-profit is how they structured it. Their application times are August 4th through August 31st cutoff date. And as far as the nonprofits go, they went with 501Cs and left it just at that, not anything beyond, whatever nomenclature is behind a 501C, if it's a 3, a 5, a 9, 19, whatever it is. But they said anyone with a 501C nonprofit would apply for theirs. And it sounded to me that they were using virtually all of the money for community use. Sounded like, I don't have that for sure. I should have asked Jeff today, but I don't know if they were using any of it personally, internally for their costs or not. So, but they were using the majority of the money for outreach. To the board, are there any other organizations you would like to fund? I know one item that was brought up was Southwestern Mental Health. I don't know. They are a nonprofit corporation. They're also a clinic. They would be appropriate to fund. I know that was one that came up. Are there any others that?
They've gotten their own money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know in their last meeting last month, they said that they're actually pretty stable despite COVID right now.
So, and hospitals the same way, so.
Right.
So do we need to on an agenda, this is listed as information. Is this an action item at this point, or?
I would like to see
Let's
an
take action today on it.
Okay.
That way I can get the checks cut to the Southwest Health Human Services and the schools if we're gonna be doing it that route.
Doing some stuff and get it going.
Get it going. Yep.
Election things get more.
Correct. Yep.
We can always come in and amend it at meetings, we have time to do that, so if we find something, we have an aha moment that we missed, or something comes forward that we
Jay's
don't know
gonna let
about.
you know before the time period runs out on the application.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
goes into effect next Monday is what we want to do on here. We can change the date if we want, but I think that gives us plenty of time to get our information back from SRDC as well. Once they look at the app, I think we'll be fine.
Sure.
Mr. Chair,
Chris has made a motion to approve. As it's,
Motion by Chris.
it's outlined here, I assume, so.
Yep, that's what we want.
I'll second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
And then we can
Thank you.
kind of put the word out.
Thank you,
and if
Tyler,
could
for all your
put
work on it,
something
too.
in the papers that at least.
Right.
they're aware
Like I said,
that
I'm sure they'll be reaching out to
Trying
discuss.
to be fair and let people know what's available, so they're not in
Yep.
the dark about it, so.
Exactly. So yeah, we definitely want to get information out as much as possible. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I don't want people saying they never heard about it either. So
I would think they'd make it a headline story to,
I'm assuming so, but that's up to them, obviously. But
right?
I guess my only other thing is make sure you guys get out and vote today.
Early and
Took
often.
care of it.
Have you been out to the,
Thanks, Tyler.
been out to the cemetery harvesting names for the Democrats?
Of course.
Ours is by me.
Do we have anything, Kathy, personnel or anything?
He's got a couple things.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first personnel item I have for the board today is formal approval of hiring Tyler Rippentrop as the jail administrator effective August 3rd on step C of the pay plan. And that step it's higher than the top end of the jailer dispatcher pay plan, and that's really where we wanted to be for that, is making sure his wage was higher than the highest wage on the jailer dispatcher pay plan. So, I would be seeking approval of that first, and then I have a request, kind of in conjunction with that.
Move for approval.
Okay, Luke made a motion to approve.
Second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. The next piece is the resolution 59-28-20. And basically, what this resolution does is just ensures that Tyler stays in the police and fire plan for PERA. And, we feel that he should qualify for that because he is licensed, he's gonna maintain his license, and he's also going to continue doing deputy work as well during this, and he's in the sheriff's office department, so all of his wages would go towards the police and fire plan rather than moving back to the correctional plan. So, but we do need a resolution for para just establishing that.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of resolution 59-28-20.
okay, Chris made the motion to approve.
Dan will second.
Dan seconded the motion. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I also have one more announcement. Janelle Nickel, who was a full-time EMT of ours, terminated employment on July 30th. We did advertise internally to backfill her position. Actually, let's just stop right there and I'll have you guys approve her termination of employment effective July 30th
Okay,
of a full-time EMT.
So moved.
Les made a motion to approve the termination.
Second.
Luke seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Thank you. So we do have a full-time EMT position open now. Just speaking with Casey, she wanted to open that up internally to the current members of the Ambulance Association. So we advertised that. It actually ended yesterday. We posted that internally, and we have 4 applicants for that position. So we're hoping to do interviews for that in the coming week and hopefully get somebody
okay.
in there. Also, just an update on the mechanic position. We did complete interviews and we have an offer out contingent on a background check and some of the other pre-employment requirements. So I should have hopefully an announcement at the next board meeting once those are complete. So.
Just curious, on the EMT position, do you have to have a certain level of, I don't know, education or?
You have to be certified
Okay.
already as an EMT.
And I suppose all the people that applied would be already certified?
Yes. Yep, that's correct. They are all certified.
Okay.
We lost Dan. Dan, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we lost your video.
Oh, that's because I went to my calendar. I'll come
Okay.
back.
Just make sure
Now
we
you
didn't
can
lose
see
you.
me?
There you are.
I still had audio. I went to my calendar. Yep.
Just want to make sure we didn't lose you, make sure you're hearing everything.
So anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. And then Steve, do you have any fresh information on the budget report or anything you wanna?
Yep, I gave a copy of a little spreadsheet I've been putting together this year to kind of keep track of it. It makes it a little easier for me to go through it. I didn't print out the full 113 pages for all the board members, but I did include it in your packet if you want to go back and look at the second quarter. And I can also get you the count activity reports as well if you want those. But in going through here, we should be at roughly 50% of where we should be. As you go down the list, independent audit is only 10% out there in process right now of doing those. Anything you're seeing with 100%, those are generally appropriation items, and those are done for the year. So your areas like different RMEBs and the Southwest RDC and all those other organizations we're belonging to, senior citizens, anything we appropriate money to is all taken care of on that. So we have spent up to 82% of our expenses in fairgrounds, which is just fine. We didn't spend a whole much more from last year. Another 40%. Most of them are right on target where we should be. Probation, why that's minus 17 is we haven't received our invoice for probation costs for Jeff at this time. So when that comes in, sometimes at the end of the year, sometimes it's even next year. So it never shows up exactly on that. But by and large, I think that we're right where we should be. Conservation is a little bit different because that's all dependent on so many grant items. So right now we were at 280% early, so we had a bunch of expense but didn't have any income. Now we're at 99, so there's more grants and more income, more expenses coming. So this is we're going to be just fine on that as well. And non-departmental, we're right at 54. So overall, second quarter, we're where we should be. One area is that you are going to notice, and when you're starting to look at the budgets here with the department heads, you're going to notice that our costs for things like registrations and travel and mileage and meals, other than primarily for the sheriff's department for meals, because they're still doing transports and things like that, are way down. We're not spending money like we have in the past. I mean, we spent $117 a month on Zoom, for virtually everybody to meet. So, I don't think our cars have put on 500 miles since March. Matter of fact, I know they haven't. So it was just within the past 2 weeks, Joyce is starting to send out the assessors to start doing checks of agricultural properties now. So, but those costs are way down, so we're looking pretty good for the year. Unless something strange comes up, we get nailed with something big. One thing that's not completed yet, one project, and I relate this back to CARES, is that our duct cleaning project will not be allowable under the CARES Act because we were actually taking action on that back in February. So, and that was prior to the March 1st date. And this side is completely done. The air handler is working well. I've had staff come up to me and said, I can breathe so much better in this building now. Mike Heyman used to come in and have the
We
sniffles.
only approved half, though, at that time, didn't we?
But we did both the projects, though. We had quotes on both the projects. So it was all together, but we just chose to split them.
Okay.
So, but Heyman said he can breathe a whole lot better when he comes in here now. Now, Legacy did start on the old courthouse building and got a week into it and got pulled away for something, so they haven't been back. They also haven't been paid, so they'll come back when they get here. We did have a couple of fire alarm events. When they cut into the ductwork, it sent some dust through it, and that triggered the smoke detectors. And we had the fire department here once, and then the second time we had it cut off in time that they were canceled. I was here working on some budget stuff late, so I took care of that. But so we're still in process on that.
At least you found out things work.
Yeah, the fire alarm system works great, because we did have an issue with it earlier last year where if the alarm went off in this building, it didn't go off in the other building. And now that's been corrected, so when one alarm goes off, the entire facility goes off now, which is the way it's supposed to do. So sometimes it is good to have a fire alarm to check your system, so that's all I have to report on the second quarter budget report, Mr. Chairman, unless there are questions.
Anybody have any questions for Steve? This is a little bit related, but sounds like the roofing project's on hold for now.
Yes, we received a letter through the city of Pipestone from the State Historical Preservation. They need more information on it, on the type of shingle we're using, and one of the comments they listed was that the shingle looked too monolithic, so
What does that mean exactly?
I guess it doesn't have any contrast is my look. It'd be like looking at a black and white TV, I guess. It'd be monocolor. But actually it doesn't, is if you have them all together. And I did contact our MLC, a contractor who was approved to do this last week, and said, I need information from you, how this stuff is applied, what it looks like, and also find me some pictures of the jobs you've done in good color contrast so I can send them to the state. So I got those yesterday, and I immediately wrote an email and sent that back to Doug Fortune and also to the representative of the State Historical Preservation. The issue goes back, the state would like to see it more of a slate.
Well, they started out, they thought it should be wood shingles.
I don't know what the building was back in 1909 when this was done.
1900?
I'm guessing it was slate, I don't know. And then, but I've been here, since the 80s and 90s, and I only remember asphalt shingles on this roof. So at one time, there were no wood shakes to my knowledge on it. And Dan, I don't know if you've got any major history that you can shed on this too. The only thing I can think of is I'll go visit Susan and try to find some decent pictures that they have up there, and maybe it was slate when they built it. I don't know, but I don't know if there was ever wood shake on it. But when the slate came off,
all the historical photos I've seen, it's like it is now.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell. So, we've had asphalt shingles on it, to my knowledge, since the 70s. So it's like. So that's, we're just trying to get through that. Then we'll get it hammered out. We'll get it done. And talking to gentleman from MLC, from Jason, they won't be here until either the last week of this month or probably the first week in September. And I said, well, we'll try to get the information back. And he said he can move us back a little bit further. He's got a large house to do and a church to do too. So he's fine with where we're at. We haven't paid him any money yet either. So. But the information he sent was good that I sent, so that's kind of where we're at on the shingle project. But
okay, well, at least that you've done all you can at this point, it sounds like.
and I'll continue to email back and forth. So, but get the Building and Grounds Committee in the word on that. So,
okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we do have 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. We do have committee reports listed here yet. If you
this afternoon.
Do those.
They'll be here this afternoon. And
committee reports now?
Committee reports are fine, yeah. Unless you want to do them late.
Whip through your information.
Sure. On Wednesday, 15th, we had Southwestern Mental Health I think all of us, for Pipestone attended via Zoom. I think the rest of them met in person. They're sticking to budget so far, which I mentioned earlier, despite some of the effects of COVID-19. They're starting to fill some positions and getting Unity House back on track again. Thursday, the 16th, we had a PCMC update, and that was just a update on the mass testing that was going to be held on the following Monday. On 27th, had CPT meeting via Zoom. Financials are up despite the hardships from COVID-19. Meeker and Conwood counties were